So, hey, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. Hey, it's Josh, and I am so excited that you could be with me. Man, I always love recording with great guests, sharing amazing information. Today, we're talking about real estate marketing automation, right? And implementing high-level real estate marketing automation strategies. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if you're a real estate investor and you're doing 3 deals a year, you probably want to get to 30. If you're a real estate investor doing 50 deals a year, you probably would like to get to 100. If you're doing 100 deals a year, maybe you'd like to grow and scale and even do more deals, right? More deals equals more money. Well, how do you automate that process of scaling your business and allowing software, technologies, different information platforms, and data to help you automate the front-end marketing and the back-end follow-up? A lot of you guys have been on my webinar called 5 Layers of Motivation and How to Stack Your List. Today, my guest is Robert Seifert. He is the Chief Visionary Officer at realestateinvestor.com. They have an amazing service that helps investors automate their follow-up, grow and scale their business. So we're going to talk today about what's working for marketing. We're going to talk today about laser targeting your leads, what lists to grab and stack and overlay the data. We're going to talk about how much marketing should cost, what the return on investment should be, and the favorite types of mailing lists that are working for real estate investors, as well as Robert's software service at realestateinvestor.com and how you can, jump in and use their service to do all of this for you. So check out this amazing interview that I did with my friend, Robert Seifert from realestateinvestor.com.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So, hey, Robert, thank you so much for joining us today on Accelerated Investor. So glad to have you. How are you today?
I am great, Josh. Thanks for having me. Really a pleasure to be on here today.
Yeah. So, we've known of each other for a long time. I know your business partner, Gary Boomershine, for a long time, 13 years. Excited to have you on to kind of really talk through kind of automation in a real estate business. This is kind of your, backbone of your business, the backbone of your training, the backbone of realestateinvestor.com is really helping real estate investors, especially the big boys, the guys that do hundreds of deals a year, how you help them automate their marketing. So from a high level, Robert, why don't you just start by kind of explaining, when you think of real estate automation and you think about helping a client really grow their business, what pops into your mind? What are some of the mechanics? What are the first things you think of when you think of automating a real estate investing business?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, right? And it comes back to my own real estate business. What was the problems I was having and what was keeping me from scaling, because it was all me, right? And so then as I started to hire people, the first thing that popped in my mind and still does to this day, and the number one thing you need to be automating, and the number one thing that I see most real estate investors, quite frankly, suck at, is follow-up. Right? Like they may spend a lot of money on generating leads, and they may get leads in the door and then they can't convert them. And a lot of it is because they're just focused on that. Well, they called me, I close them or I don't, and I move on to the next lead coming in the door. And we pump more money into marketing to get more of that coming in, but we suck at the follow-up. Right. And so the number one thing is automating that piece. Because you can hire a team of VAs, you can hire people to do that, which I did. But as soon as I figured out how to leverage technology, right, then you find out that you can automate a whole relationship building process. This could be your sellers, your buyers, your lenders, your agent relationships. You can have automated emails, text messages. You can have automated ringless voicemail drops, which is a voice message from you. Thank you cards, postcards, all this can be fully automated. So essentially, the entire relationship that leads to a transaction inevitably can be fully automated, which allows you to build a relationship on autopilot, right? And so that's the number one thing that comes in my mind.
So Robert, when you think, so let's use a hypothetical situation. Let's say you've got an investor. Let's go back to, I'll use me as an example, right? 2005, 2006, get my real estate investing business started. And obviously at the beginning, I was scared shitless, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to talk to sellers. And quickly basically just muscled the business. We were in pre-foreclosure, short sales, and wholesaling. And we got to the point where we were doing about 8 to 10 transactions a month. Some months it was 12, some months it was 3, but let's just call it 100 a year. And I just remember hustling, working, getting to the office at 8 or 9, work until about 2. I would go to the gym because that would give me the kind of the power, the brain power and the muscle power to then work until like 8 or 10 at night, right? The second half of the day. So I worked kind of 2 8-hour days. But we hit this ceiling of 100 deals a year consistently. We had a team, we had deal finders, we had acquisitions guys calling on the phone, about 100 deals a year. And we're thought, man, I don't really want to do any more deals. This is a lot of work, right? So let's say I'm your client now or prospect, and I'm thinking about using you as a consultant and some of your software programs to help me do this and really build that thing and scale it. What are some of the things that are on your mind to help a client like me?
Yeah, totally. So, and you experienced the same thing I did, right? The hustle and the grind, working my tail off to get those deals and saying, I don't know that I want to double or triple this, because that just means it's going to be even more insane, right?
I don't have 28 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. So the first, and I don't know that I want to hire 10 more people to get there. So the first thing that comes to mind, and now taking a step back on how I've totally been in the same shoes and rebuilt my whole real estate business myself, to have more free time, right? Because I think most of us, at least me, got into it not to work 2 8-hour shifts a day, but that was reality. It was to have way more free time and enjoy the money that comes with real estate. It's first I take a step back all the way to the data, right? And it's getting the right data organized. And so I love and have put out there the thing about stacking data lists. And so it starts there because we create an environment when we're going after 100 deals, right? And number one, if we lack at FollowUp, there's probably a reason why we have to generate more leads and we have to use more data, right? In that creates a whole bunch of busy work. We're going after a whole bunch of maybes to get to those 100 that we could do a deal with. If we first came all the way back to better organizing that data and stacking. So think of it as we're using a shotgun approach traditionally in real estate. We're going to go hit everyone in the area where we could potentially buy a house so we could find those ones. Instead, if I stack my data and I compile a bunch of the right lists together, I can laser target like a sniper rifle. And instead of going after 100,000 to get the 100, I could go after 10,000 to get the 100.
So when you're talking about data, I just want my audience to understand what Robert's talking about is there's various different data sets. And Robert, definitely jump in here anytime, but data sets, things like houses that are vacant, absentee owners, houses with high equity, houses with low equity, houses that are over leveraged, things like a property that has a bankruptcy, a divorce, liens, property that's completely paid off free and clear. These are all different data sets, right? And you can get them individually separated. And then Robert, so talk about what kind of lists and things you would kind of advise a guy like me to start with. And then again, talk about that concept of stacking for somebody that doesn't know what that means, of overlaying these kind of lists together. Yeah,
totally. So 100% on the money. That's all the pain points, right? So I take your business, for example, that you explained. Obviously you were getting foreclosure or pre-foreclosure lists. You were getting the pain point that you knew these properties were likely open to the potential of a short sale, right? So you're finding what are those pain points? Most of them are potentially going through a divorce, have tax default, have a foreclosure, might be absentee, might be a vacant house, love free and clear, love high equity stuff. code violations, water shutoffs, right? Anything that you can think of that's a potential pain point of the people you like to buy houses from, right?
Nice.
So then you get the whole data set, which is the first thing, right? So a lot of people mess this up because they think stacking is, because a lot of people using my term stacking are now just saying, oh, just filter these things. No, it's totally different. You could filter and lose a lot of the potential deals. If you get the whole data set, right? So you're compiling all the data, then you put it in, you can go and get and sell, pay a bunch of amazing Excel people to figure out how to match up the properties and essentially stack the data. So what we're doing is identifying, and our software does it, for you, but essentially what you're doing is you want to identify that this property address for this owner that's owned, right, is on multiple data points. Now, I don't care which data set, right? If I get the whole data set, all I care is that this property has 2, 3, or more pain points. Whether it's
layers of motivation, pain points, reasons that they might want to sell. People say, like, I'm just going to go get the absentee list. Well, every rental property I own, I'm an absentee owner of, and I love them all, and I want to keep them all. So I'm not motivated just because I'm an absentee owner. I've got good management in place. I've got a lot of equity. I have no reason to sell. So if you market to me, I'm throwing your stuff in the trash. That's potentially one layer of motivation, but that alone does not indicate that the person's super motivated. Matter of fact, they could be even more pissed off, throwing your stuff away, trashing you on the internet, giving you bad reviews because you're sending us like mail that we don't want. I'm not motivated at all by that. So the stacking becomes super important. As opposed to I've just got the notice of defaults, which is what we used to do because we didn't know any better. I just got the notice of defaults. Now it's like, can I get a notice of default with all these other points that you mentioned?
Yeah, exactly. So, using that example, right, you can go get the absentee list. That's a bigger list. And you're going to have a bunch of people you're not going to do a deal with because they're landlords that love their property. You could filter that and say, well, give me absentee and vacant. Maybe there's a likelihood. And there is. And those are the most common thing people can do to get a slightly better result. But even better is if I buy the absentee list, the vacant list, I go get the foreclosure or notice of default list, I get a tax default list, and I throw all of them into a system that just says, okay, I don't care if it's absentee and vacant, absentee and foreclosure, foreclosure and vacant, tax default and vacant, right? So I'm eliminating the need for a filter. I'm putting all the data in there and letting the data just tell me. And generally speaking, because we've done this for I think there's over 100 million property addresses in our database now, it's about 10%. So if you get 100,000 property addresses on all the different data sets you're grabbing, right, as an example, there's probably, and you're probably marketing to all 100,000. Most of them are throwing it in the trash, like you said, don't even consider it. 10,000 of those are the people who have some level of motivation who are likely to do a deal with you, or way more likely. So right there alone, you could save 90% of your marketing budget. Because the ones you're doing the deals with, I can promise you from the data we've cross-ran and reverse looked at, is in the 10,000 people that you should have been going after in the first place. With what you asked earlier, a lot of the work you're doing is calling and talking to all those people that are telling you to F off, take me off your list, don't ever nail me again, because you're working with the 90,000. And there's people that are not going to throw it away, but they're going to call you to tell you how they feel about you.
It's an easy way to burn out, like an inside sales agent, an inside salesperson that's constantly getting hung up on. They're having no results because they're talking to people who are unmotivated. They're talking to the 90% instead of the people that have some layer of at least 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 layers of motivation. And that person's more likely to sell, whether it's now or 6 months from now or 2 years from now. I mean, I tell my audience, Robert, like, I need to get paid today, but I need to get paid 6 months from now. I need to get paid 2 years from now, right? So now it becomes about the follow-up, right? So
that's you now that you've cleaned that end up, right? It's the first thing I want to focus on, because now I'm, garbage in, garbage out. So lots of data in, lots of work on the back end, making you busy and less productive, versus very clean on the front end. I have a lot less work and I'm way closer to the deal. So I could do the same 100 deals with 90% less leads, which is funny, right? Then now that I've cleaned that end up, then it comes into, it's follow-up, because the next thing that's going to keep your people, especially your acquisitions team, busy, and where they really suck at, salespeople are great at closing deals. They suck at paperwork, generally speaking, and they suck at following up, right? They're just put me in front of a hot seller, put me in front of a hot seller, put me in front of a hot seller. But call 100 people back today. I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? The deals are there, but they don't want to do that work. They just want to get on the phone, and you could hire someone to do that for them. Or my preference is always automation first. If I can automate that through technology, which we can, then all that follow-up can happen. And now my salespeople, there's follow-up happening every day for them. They're only talking to the people that respond. So I have clean data coming in, less work already. 2, I automate all the follow-up. So they're only talking to people who are saying, hey, I want an offer today, or come out to my house to look at it.
Yeah, love it.
That's it.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So Robert, let's talk about these different mediums of follow-up, right? We know when we can, well, before I even go there, let's talk about, once we got that data sifted down to the 10% that are more likely to be motivated, what are some of your favorite strategies, whether it be direct mail, ringless voicemail? What are some of the things that are working right now for that 10% that should have more motivation? What are some things that you're working with you, your clients, and your own business that are working for you to get the highest return and the highest response?
Yeah. So right now, I think always will be direct mail, right? I think a lot of people are afraid of it, but it's a staple that's never going to go away. Every big business I know, direct mail is a staple behind it, right? It's the long-term deals. It's the deals that are going to call today and I'm going to get a deal 6 months, 12 months, 18, 2 years from now. I'll get a deal off that round of direct mail if I'm consistently doing it and getting my message out to the marketplace. I like to be very highly targeted first. So we already assumed that though. So direct mail, always a staple. The next couple that we're really doing in direct to consumer today is cold calling and text messaging, finding them both highly effective in today's market. They're both just a lot cheaper. So I can get a lot of leads and drum up some stuff on people that wouldn't call me from direct mail, but still may have potential deals. And it's very inexpensive marketing to go hit a lot of people. So I would hit more people through that. And so those 3 are the top 3. And then I'm big on online. So we're always testing a lot of things online with web traffic and stuff like that. So that'd be the other thing I would do. But again, I would, depending on the person's budget, I would be direct mail and text messaging would be my top 2. Cold calling would be my 3rd. And then online, at a minimum, I'd have a website because people are going to go look up if you're real.
I was just going to ask you that, Robert. I was just going to ask you that because is much of the traffic now that I could see building, like the momentum of direct mail, the momentum of text messaging, and the momentum of cold calling, for sure. From my 15 years of experience, consumers are going to say now, especially now, they're going to be looking. Okay, I got this postcard from Josh Cantwell from Freeland Ventures. Let me look him up before I respond to this text message or phone call. So how important is it that somebody have a branded website or some sort of direct response website where someone can opt in? At least at a minimum, they'll have some web presence, a Google page, something like that. That the consumer can validate and make sure that they're credible. Everyone's afraid right now to get scammed on the internet. It's the first thing they think about.
Yeah, absolutely. At a minimum, you've got to have some sort of web presence, even if that's a basic landing page that just shows your company name and what you do. Granted, I would absolutely have a lead capture there because people are going to fill it out to talk to you. And again, maybe test to see if you're real by doing that, which again leads into automation. I have automated follow-up from my web form. Make sure you're getting contacted in 5 minutes because my salespeople aren't going to. I haven't found salespeople that respond that fast when we're busy. But yeah, at a minimum, you have to at least have a web presence because everyone has this amazing thing called a smartphone today. And the first thing they do when they get your stuff is this person real?
Who do they got?
That's it.
You real? You legit? I'm looking you up.
Who are they? If they can't find you online in one Google search, they're probably not going to call you to even begin with, right? or they're not going to do business or let you out or whatever the scenario is.
So would you recommend, if you took me on as a client, or all the clients that you guys do have, okay, let's make sure you have a web presence even before you start the direct mail, right? That's
I would, yeah, absolutely. Because the first thing they're going to do is look you up.
No doubt.
Get that man piece.
So let's talk about the follow-up sequences then, because somebody could opt in or inquire or raise their hand multiple ways. They could fill out a web form on the internet. They could call into the office. They could respond to a text message. They could call in and leave a voicemail. They could call in, which what I've experienced, call in and not leave a voicemail. So then we've got to capture their phone number to call them back, because it's basically a hang up. So you essentially got these 4 or 5 methods that somebody could essentially be raising their hand, maybe not necessarily ready to sell their house yet, but definitely be raising their hand and identifying them as somebody who's wants more information, is poking around and potentially going to sell, whether it's now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now.
Yep.
Now it's like, now all this work of, this is where I hit the ceiling. For me, this is exactly where I hit the ceiling of 100 deals. I can't do anymore because we're going to generate more leads, instead of, oh my God, this person opted in. I don't remember where that lead went. This person called, they got it on a freaking yellow pad. Where did that lead go? I can't call them 6 months from now because it already got thrown in the trash. Those are real problems that I experience and that investors experience who are starting to scale. So let's talk through that for a minute. Like, again, if I'm your client or someone else, you got lots of clients doing this, they have this exact problem. How do you help them get organized for follow-up?
Yeah, totally. So again, you just said the key word, right? It's first organizing. So we use software for that. You can use anything, but eventually you got to get off the yellow pads. I had the same problem. Yellow pads and sticky notes. Yeah. Eventually I got really cool and put it on whiteboards until I outgrew whiteboards, and then I had spreadsheets and then spreadsheets.
8 whiteboards up. Expo markers running out of ink. I've been there.
Yep. And then software. So software is it, right? If you like the software we offer, it puts everything into one place, segments all your different. And so we segment exactly what you just said, right? Contacts versus leads. So there are people who will contact me. I raise my hand. Doesn't mean I'm ready to sell yet, but I did raise my hand to something. Your online form, your text, your cold call, your direct mail piece, whatever, bandit sign, whatever you're using, right? They raised their hand, they contacted you. Now, whether they left a voicemail, hung up, all that, our software identifies all that and triggers automatically, based on where they came from, a series of follow-ups. And so in the beginning, your follow-up should be, I'll tell you the golden standard. So whether you use us or you do your own, what you absolutely must have is the ability to text them back. Right. So whatever they did, you want to be able to text them back, and you want to, so whatever form they did, you want some sort of ability. Now, I don't like instant. There are some stuff out there that do things instantly, but people know that's fake, right? They just know it's artificial. If you want it to be real, so we pride ourselves on a real human touch. Well, how do we do that? Built-in delay that doesn't send an instant response, but waits a few minutes like a real human would, but we still want it to be sent within that first 5 to 10 minute window, because that's when the prospect is the most hot. They were interested in calling you. Every minute after that, there's like a 400% decline within the first 30 minutes after they reached out to you, especially in today's instant gratification world. They're just going to call somebody else. They probably got 10 other postcards, right? So you need some sort of reply. If it's online, right, then it should be email. If it was direct call, it should be a text. And in a perfect world, it would be, since if a person can't call back, we automate a voicemail, because I want it to feel like I called you. So personally, I would do a voicemail first within the first, 5 to 10 minutes. Right behind that, a few minutes later, a normal natural delay of you waiting to see if they call back, send a text. So if you got their phone number, I'd be doing a voicemail and a text within minutes of them calling me. If you have their email address, I would have also sent an email out with that as well. All within that first 5 to 10 minutes is the first one, and then staggering the rest instantly after that. And really all I'd be saying is, hey, thanks for contacting me through whatever channel they just reached out to me on. I'd love to learn more about your property. You got a chance we could talk and find out about it. Yeah. Right? I'm not talking about an offer. I'm not talking about anything invasive. I just want to start that conversation. And then I'm going to continue to follow up. So I break it into stages, right? If they're just a contact, I'm going to follow up in some form like that about re-engaging them to get them on the phone to schedule my appointment or make my offer and find out more about their house, right? So that's all I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to continue that follow-up until They get on the phone or they tell me they called the wrong number, basically.
Right.
Now, once they're a lead, which is the gold, right? The gold is the people who said, yes, I own property at 123 Main Street. I do want to sell. Your salespeople talk to them and they're like, yeah, my house is worth 150 and I want 160. Awesome. Yeah. We can't do that deal today. 6 months from now, they may change their mind, to your point, and I lost them on my yellow sticky note. I forgot about them. What I would have then is we would do a sequenced follow-up with a lead. In that point, I'm not going to call them every day, but maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks, once every 30 days as this staggers out over time. Again, at that point, I'm going to be sending text messages, voicemails from me, emails. And I personally, if it's dragging out over a month or two, I'm going to start sending very high quality, premium, dual color, postcards back to them to re-engage them, especially if they came from a direct mail channel, because I know they responded to that to begin with. So they'll probably respond again later. Mm-hmm. And that I'm going to have a follow-up that's going to go for years. And so I'm going to have the system keep sending those messages on my behalf. I don't have to worry about that lead anymore. I don't have to know where it's at. All I know is that it's in an automated sequence. I'm working on the people who are hot today that want an offer or an appointment, and I'm doing those. The system is automating those follow-ups. And as I dump more and more leads into that, to your point, now I have an automated nurturing system that every month, every week, every 6 months, every 9 months, someone is replying back and saying, and my messaging in there is like, hey, don't know where you're at with selling your house today, but I just freed up some more cash and I'm looking to buy another one. Maybe it's yours.
Yeah.
Get me back if you're ready, right? Not invasive, don't care. Or, hey, don't know if you're still in the market to sell your house, but here's some tips on what you could do to make it better and get more value out of it. Here's some tips on how to increase the value of the home, right? I'm sharing, I'm building and nurturing a relationship. And someday, because I'm the one that's always there when they're finally ready, I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure this has happened to you too, where I've looked up a house that I found like 9 months later that rejected us or wanted full value. And I'm like, they sold it for the price we would have bought it for.
Right.
What happened? Why didn't we get that deal? Oh, because we weren't
me in
there.
The heart.
Yes, we weren't there. That was my first we need to automate this follow-up, because people who are great, well, they get sick. They take holidays off. They call in from work. They don't show up. They don't do their tasks for the day, right? A system that is automated always follows up on time, exactly when I want, every day, every week, no breaks, right? So it just that feeds that engine that allows you to scale, because now all those deals, people always have deals to work on. I don't even necessarily have to pump more leads into the system because the leads have always been nurturing, right? And so I'm there when their timeline is ready, right?
Love it.
My timeline of today.
Love it. Love it. My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. So Robert, couple sort of rapid fire questions as we kind of round third here and head for home. So get a big swig of coffee.
I'm ready.
Rock it back. Before I go into the rapid fire questions, there's obviously, I want to make a comment here. So everybody that listens to this has a choice. You can scale your real estate business manually, or you can start your own software and kind of Frankenstein it all together, that you create your own follow-up sequences, your own text messaging, your own ringless voicemail, your own direct mail follow-ups, or you can use a service like realestateinvestor.com that Robert runs with my buddy Gary, and you can have them completely automate and work with you to do all that. Choice is yours. If you've got the money to invest, certainly would prefer me to, buy an out-of-the-box solution that's already proven. That's what Robert and Gary do. Check that out at realestateinvestor.com. So if you want to do it on your own, don't think you have the money. Okay, I get it. There was a time I didn't have the money, but ultimately, like if you lose one $5,000 wholesale deal a month because you're not having your follow-up sequences working, that's far more in lost revenue than any service is ever going to cost you because of of whatever they charge for their platform. So just understand that investment in technology almost always pays off if you will commit to adopting the software. Software doesn't just adopt itself. The problem I've seen, the only problem with technology and software is that if it doesn't get adoption by the group or the owner, the company that subscribes to it, if you just think it's going to start spitting out money because it's all of a sudden on your desktop, it doesn't work that way. You've got to adopt it. Okay. So just want to make that comment. So Rob, a couple quick rapid fire questions. You have this concept of all leads suck. So in 30 seconds or less, why do you say that? What does that mean?
Yeah, all leads suck because we generate leads thinking that it's money, right? To your point, like, oh, I generated leads, so money's in my bank account. No, all leads suck. All leads want top dollar. All leads want more than you think they do. They're not calling you to say, give me 50% for what my house is worth, right? So all leads suck in that notion. So if you think of it that way, then you're always going for the no and letting the follow-up bring back to you the leads that are ready when they're ready. But they suck out the gate.
Love it. 30 seconds or less. What's a realistic return on investment for marketing using your platform and your follow-up sequences?
Yeah, I would tell you that tracking your KPIs, you shouldn't be getting less than a 3 or 4x minimum on anything. If you are, the channel's wrong, shut it off, or the data you put in was bad.
Got it. 30 seconds or less. How many leads do you think it takes? So because you mentioned contacts, then leads, and then you've got deals that make money. So I'm not sure if it's contacts to deals or leads to deals, but in 30 seconds or less, what's the ratio?
Yeah, it's about 40-1 nationally average. Some markets are going to be 21, some are going to be 60-1. And then we have what we call, we call it the bluebird, the one lead that doesn't suck. That's 1 in about 125 that is just a lay down ready to give you their house for nothing.
Love it. Love it. Last question is 30 seconds or less. Why not, which is I think a lot of people make this mistake. I made this mistake. Why not just get a list, give it to a mail house, have a mail house create, a direct mail, postcard, whatever, and just let them rip and send it?
Why not? Well, you got to make sure you've done everything else right. Now, you could stack your list. You could get it all organized. You could have it all ready, and then you could, but it's not just let it rip. You need to put a plan and action in motion. So there needs to be a consistent touch point, right? So if you're not planning to do that weekly for the next 12 weeks, don't even bother that one house rip because you're not going to get the result you're after. Your ROI isn't in that one round of mail you sent to the mail house.
Love it. Love it. And I said last question on the last question, but I'm going to add one more question, which is, Robert, just your thoughts on COVID. Like, how have you seen your clients' businesses evolve, change with their list stacking, with their deal flow? How has COVID just impacted the market in your opinion?
So I see two sides to this coin from COVID, right? In our business and every business I'm around, you have the side that is let this totally create fear for them and shut down and hurt their business tremendously because they're afraid to market, they're afraid to do something, they're afraid of the unknown, right? And it is what it is. The other boat, and the boat I'm in, is they see the opportunity that's in their face, and it's an opportunity to double down because so many people are afraid that if I double down on marketing, I get way more consistent, I get way more dialed in. And we've seen all those businesses that are thriving and actually growing through COVID are the ones that double down on their marketing, double down on adopting the software by eliminating the ones that were wasting time, things they weren't doing pre-COVID, got the opportunity to say, where could I be more efficient? Those ones are the ones thriving today are going to be massively thriving on the back end. What I think is going to come from this.
Yeah, guys. And I think, again, I've said it on multiple other podcasts before. If you're not getting enough leads, you've got to expand your market, like the geographic market you're working, or expand your marketing. This is exactly the topic that Rob and I have been discussing all day on this podcast today. Robert, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show today. Listen, if people want to follow up, get more information about you and your companies, where should they seek you out?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to realestateinvestor.com and you can learn everything that we do there.
Fantastic stuff. Robert, listen, thanks so much for joining us today on Accelerated Investor.
Thanks for having me, Josh. It's been a pleasure.
So, hey, I hope you really enjoyed that interview with Robert from realestateinvestor.com. We're going to be having his partner, Gary, on the show in the next couple of months to talk a little bit more about some of their done-for-you services. Again, if you enjoyed this, I'd be so grateful. I'd be so honored if you would go share this on social media, share this on Twitter and Facebook and your Instagram, spread the word. Also, don't forget to register on Facebook for our free Facebook group. Go into Facebook and you can find the group. Just search Accelerated Investor inside of Facebook. You can join the group for free. I'm sharing strategies, live videos, blog posts, and a bunch of my own deals and case studies in that group on a weekly basis. It's a super engaged group of thousands of investors. Don't forget to jump in. It's absolutely free. There's nothing for sale. You just get to network with me and with my team and other thousands of other great real estate investors. So check that out. If you enjoyed this interview with Robert, again, share it, leave us a rating, review, comment all over social media on YouTube or on iTunes about what you liked most about the show. Thank you so much for joining me today on Accelerated Investor. I can't wait to be with you again on the next episode. Hey, Josh here, and do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes, okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're going to do then is every week we're going to pick our favorite rating and review, and we're going to send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So, again, don't forget to take a screenshot. Leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.